This is Norval's residence.
Hi, how are you doing?
It was a big decision for us to say, well, we will put him here where he can get help.
All right, on.
In 1996, Morisot had a stroke, and by the dawn of the millennium, he could no longer paint.
Been dreaming about the blueberry.
Oh, wow.
His speech is quite slurred, yet I understand him very clearly. But we speak with our eyes also. Sometimes things that aren't said are said very loud in silence. Inside Norval, he's feeling everything, joy, sadness. And it's funny because to Norval, he's still 35 years old. He's still able to paint, he's still able to create, and yet physically he can't.
Can you sit up a little bit straight?
His body is stiff and spent, but Morisot does not feel trapped within it. For decades, the visionary shaman has told friends that his soul can leave his body at will and travel far, far away.
Hello, this is Bern. Welcome to your GreatLifeTV.com. Today is another edition of Get the Love You Crave, and today's episode is how to help him fall harder for you. Okay, so we've talked about many different things in this video series. Today I want to focus on how to allow a man to create a deeper level of investment and commitment in you. Okay, and the first one is super simple. It's understanding this very basic principle that men have built into their system, their DNA, their body, their soul, this need to earn what they have, to put in the effort to get a reward, right? Because it's what we've done for centuries and centuries and centuries. So what happens? When a man invests little or nothing in you and he gets more rewards than his actions and his investment in you actually demand, you might feel like you're being very open and very forthcoming and very nurturing, but a man's viewpoint is, if I really haven't earned it and I have this, it's almost like it doesn't match, right? So when he doesn't feel like he's done the work and yet he's getting the results, his value of you drops immediately. So I'm not asking you to play games. I am simply asking you to really value when you connect with someone, how is he showing up, how much of his heart, his mind, his everything he's investing in you, so that you can reward him appropriately. Because when you give him more than he really deserves in terms of time, in terms of attention, or when you put up with stuff that you shouldn't put up with, then he gets to feel at some level that if you were more valuable, you wouldn't put up with this stuff. If you were more valuable, it would be a little harder for him to do this. So he just doesn't feel compelled to it. Now, if he's really doing the things, it doesn't mean that it doesn't require a specific amount of time. It doesn't require a specific number of dates. It's simply about you knowing that if the effort and the intensity is there, then continue with that openness of heart and showering him with as much as you can. If he's not fully invested that yet, then don't give him all the rewards that he hasn't earned, basically. So that's the first one. The second one is the kind of like the balance between that and the opposite. Because a lot of women actually, no matter how amazing a man is, no matter how often he shows up, no matter how incredible he is in his commitment, in his level of intensity, his level of passion, his level of adoration for you, they still don't take the openness or the heart or the energy of reward for him. So a guy will do something a few times to feel how you react, right? He wants to ultimately move towards something. He wants to progress in some way. If he doesn't feel like he's progressing, like he's really doing hard and you're playing, like now you're playing hard to catch, or you're just being ungrateful, he's gonna tune out mentally and emotionally. If he tunes out mentally and emotionally, it will not be long before he figures out that somebody else will be able to be very appreciative of his gifts and he's going to be generous with that human being instead of with you. So just be careful of that. And the third one is, again, a simple concept, right? The simple concept of understanding that a man will feel like he loves you in a very direct proportion in how useful he feels towards you. How much can he do for you? If the man cannot do things for you, he will not commit to you. Why? Super simple, because we want to feel useful, we want to feel like men. If I feel like there's nothing I can do for my woman, and I feel like, what's the point in me being there? I'm not needed, right? If I'm not needed, then I'm going to look for someone who makes me feel like a man. So understand that even little things that you feel like, if you're Miss Independence and you can do everything on your own, stop for a second and realize that by you allowing him to do certain things for you, even though you can do them, he's going to feel more compelled to just be present for you and to give you his commitment. So take the time to allow him to do stuff for you. Understand that you need to reward him emotionally when he's investing in you, and also understand that when he's not investing emotionally in you and you're taking the position of doing more for him than he's doing for you at the beginning of a relationship, then he loses the drive to actually pursue you. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this with you. And as always, I challenge you to live a full and conscious life. Thank you.
Right, hello everyone, thanks so much for coming. It's my job to kind of bring some of these experiments alive and show you guys as teachers what you can actually do with them.
I'm really pleased to be part of the Wellcome Trust in the Zone. 2012 is a very big year for us. I'm passionate about sport, and In the Zone is bringing that out to schools, to young people. So it's all about extending the knowledge through the science side of it, but relating that back to sporting activity as well.
I'm looking forward to getting it in the post and having a little play around with all the resources, maybe adapting it for my children, and then getting them all fit.
Right, let's see what we've got. Who's managed to fill it? Anyone filled it? And that's that one full. Next, 7 and a bit litres.
It's so exciting because exercise has been marketed as something that's either very, very dull and virtuous and tedious and it makes you sweaty. And what we've forgotten is that exercise is about joy, it's about excitement, it's about interest, it's about team sport, and it's about learning. And there's so much that you can learn about biology and about the way we are by simple experiments relating to exercise. Not only related to the exercise, but related to all sorts of other elements of science as well. We're 20 seconds in and Steve...
300 watts!
Get your power up.
Right, so Steve, what did your training involve?
Well, a lot of endurance stuff, a lot of stuff on rowing machines, a lot of hours out on the water.
I think it's going to be brilliant to take into schools and for kids to have a go at. I learned a lot myself.
So peak heart rates are going to be similar, rates of decline are not.
Yeah, Steve's now in the 70s, I'm still 109.
The more you know about your body, the more you know about your sport, and the closer they come together, really does make a big difference in what you're doing.
I hope this is a way in for children to be able to understand not only that science is exciting, but the exercise itself can be very enjoyable. And the extra, of course, added bit of that science is that enjoyable exercise is incredibly healthy.
Kids can often turn off from science when they're sat down working in their books. They just get worksheets all the time. So having some props and things to really get them involved, I think that would be really fantastic for them.
Being in the zone is, I think it's different to different sports. It's about being in harmony of mind and body as one.
1, 2, 3, draw.
Yes! On September 11, 2001, some powerful people conspired to murder American citizens on American soil and have the attack blamed on Muslims. Today, we know the truth. 9/11 was an inside job. Over 6 million viewers have seen 9/11 Loose Change. http www.youtube.com/watchv=730ibo0all. In this film, the evidence was presented so that anyone who sees it would have questions and would want to know the truth. The government denies access to the truth. Government committed the murders and government refuses to answer any questions about 9/11 because they fear that we will learn the truth and many arrests will be made. There was help from the CIA. The explosives had to be put in place to demolish the buildings. There was help from the FBI. They confiscated over 85 videos of the Pentagon missile attack and won't release them. Maybe they are kept in the same vault with the JFK assassination videos. In both cases, the people were threatened, gangster style, not to talk or they would be hurt. There was help from the virtual owner of the World Trade Center buildings, and anyone can ask Larry Silverstein the following questions. Who authorized those buildings to be wired for explosives? It takes months to set up a controlled demolition. When were those buildings wired? For what reason were these buildings set up for demolition? Did you solve the $1 billion asbestos problems by murdering citizens? Why were all the Jews in those offices told not to come to work that day, Mr. Silverstein? Did you think the Jewish community would know that you allowed Jews to die? Were you afraid that you'd be ostracized from your own community? Are you now a hero at home? What did you do with the profit you made from the 9/11 inside job? I know you felt so bad about all the loss of life that you had to have the asbestos buildings where all the Enron documents were being kept destroyed, but I wonder if you ever paid a visit to any of the families of those you murdered. Maybe the smartest thing to do is to go visit them to make it look good. Do you have friends in Mossad? You are aware that those working for Moving Systems Incorporated were detained and found to have box cutters and video of the towers, aren't you? Did you know that they worked for Mossad and they were released and their files hidden under the umbrella of classified? Does this remind you of the USS Liberty attack, Mr. Silverstein? A Navy ship was damaged and 34 U.S. sailors lost their lives when Israel attacked in hopes that the Egyptians would be blamed, and President Lyndon Johnson did not want to embarrass his Jewish friends by making a big deal of it, and so I want to know if you think the U.S. should continue aid to Israel. Then, I'd like to play a clip from the Naudette Brothers movie about 9/11. 9/11 documentary, The Naudette Brothers. http www.youtube.com/watchv=nvnrfhjcq. This is the scene where the firemen are in the lobby and people are jumping from the tall towers and hitting the concrete below. This is the sound of people dying. I hope Larry Silverstein, George Bush, Dick Cheney, and Donald Rumsfeld spend the rest of eternity listening to the sound of those people jumping to their deaths. Here's the clip.
Most of the people in Tower 1 came out on the mezzanine above the lobby. Then they'd get out through another building.
All right, I want to use the lobby of 7 as a triage.
The chiefs didn't want anyone going through the lobby doors. First, it was because debris was falling outside. Then, it was people falling.
You don't see it, but you know where it is.
What's that?
And you know that every time you hear that crashing sound, it's a life which is extinguished. It's not something you could get used to. And the sound.